Well, welcome back, everybody. This is Pucks from the Pine Tree Pod. I'm your host, Benjamin Kennedy. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Been a little bit since I have been on here with you guys for some very good reason. But I do thank you for joining tonight here. Sunday night, just got done watching McElroy win the Masters. What an awesome finish there. I don't watch a ton of golf, but I do love the majors, and obviously the Masters is just awesome on TV. I had one chance. Little story time with Uncle Ben here. I had one chance to go to the Masters when I was in college at Covenant College down in Lookout Mountain, Georgia. A friend of mine had an extra ticket. I think it was the Saturday, so it would have been the third round, and like the good old goody two shoes I was, I said, I know I've got a paper I got to get out this weekend. I can't make it. Just the dumbest decision of one of many dumb decisions I've made in my life. That was right up there. I skipped going to the Masters, the one chance I had, because I had some history paper I had to write. Like, oh, God, all right. Well, so not going to live that one down. But anyway, hope everybody's having a great weekend. Hope you did have a great weekend, and happy to be back with you. Like I said, it's been a couple of weeks. Been busy, been a busy time in my life here over the past couple. Was pretty busy with work there 2 weeks ago. Was up north, had a couple of events that I was dealing with and working through, which was a lot of fun. Had a good time, but does take me away from my passion here with this podcast and with hockey. And then last week, I was down in Cape May, New Jersey, a little bit of a vacation for myself. I don't take a lot of vacations. I use my vacation time every year, but I don't always go someplace and enjoy it, right? I usually just stay at home or, uh, you know, hang out around the house or maybe do like a little day trip with my kid. But I was able to reconnect with a very dear friend and had just a great time down there. If you've never been to Cape May, highly recommend it. I thought it was a great time for us to go as well because it's a very touristy area, but it's early April, so not a lot of tourists there yet. But pretty much everything was open. Most of the restaurants were open. Most of the cool spots were open, and so it was just an awesome time. Weather was a little dicey, a little cold, a little windy, but hot tub at the Airbnb we stayed at, and that I took care of that. So a lot of fun. We were able to hit the lighthouse down there, the Cape May Lighthouse. I actually took a video in the lighthouse. Now, for those of you who don't know, I am a little bit of a paranormal, junkie, I guess you would say. Amongst my other nerderisms, being like kind of enjoying that paranormal stuff, I really do get into it. Cape May is notorious for hauntings and things like that, and Cape May Lighthouse is right up there. So we went to the lighthouse. We didn't walk all the way up. It was a very windy day. I was like, nope, we're not doing this. But I did take a video on the basement floor, on the level floor, and there is a distinct voice that comes across my video. Man, I might even put it up here on the channel just to get some reaction to it. I've got to listen to it under better headset or something before I make any determinations. But it was a little creepy, man. It was a little eerie. Um, we also went to the Physic Estate Museum, which was awesome. This beautiful old mansion there in Cape May. Did the 45-minute tour. It was just awesome. Beautiful architecture. Highly recommend that. And then we also were able to go to the Brown Room at Congress Hall. Beautiful hotel, old historic hotel. Presidents have stayed there over the years, but the Brown Room is like kind of their cocktail lounge. And so we went in, sat, and had a nice cocktail. And I think I had a Macallan's 12-year on the rocks, which was just lovely. So definitely enjoyed that. And again, just great to catch up with a dear friend. We all have, I think anyway, I hope anyway, we all have a few people in our lives that, you can go years or decades. In this case, I went 10 years without seeing this person and then just pick up right where you left off. Like no time had passed. just the same old. And it was so refreshing, cozy, and it was exactly what I needed. And I'm a little bit actually sad to be here tonight and not down there sitting in the hot tub with her. But it was just a lovely, lovely time, much needed time. So I'm not going to talk a ton of hockey tonight. Of course, we have all sorts of things going on. Seasons are wrapping up. We're all just kind of waiting for the playoffs to begin at this point. The Maine Mariners of the ECHL do finish up their season tonight with a win. Again, not prepared to do a full end of year breakdown on them tonight. I will do that here soon, though, for you Maine Mariner fans out there who have been following the channel. And I am hoping to have owner Dexter Payne and play-by-play media broadcaster Mike Healy back on the show. Yeah, before we get too far away from the regular season, I think there's a lot of encouraging things that happened at the end of the year for the team to be really excited about. We know that the rosters will look drastically different from year to year, but they really finished the season well. They did all the things you kind of needed to do to try to get into the playoffs. They needed help, right? They put themselves in a position where they needed help. They didn't get enough of that help. But I love the energy and the effort they brought down the stretch. A lot of wins, winning today, sellout crowd. I think I read that it was the biggest crowd ever in Maine Mariners, at least in this rendition of the Maine Mariners in their history. So, a great way for the fans to show up and support the team right to the very end. And I think that there was a lot of things from a roster perspective that you saw Coach Wallen and the team doing that should make you very excited for next season. Reading gets in, they sneak into that fourth spot, a team that the Mariners were very successful against this year. So you feel a little frustrated about that. Maybe a little bit sad for Worcester that they kind of dropped the ball there at the end and don't get in to that playoff round. But fun season. Can't believe that season's over. They play a 72 game season there in the ECHL, and it's over just like that, just gone and done. But a big thank you to the Maine Mariners, to Dexter Payne, to Mike Keeley and the team, just for all their um, just generosity and the time they've given me. The fact that they were able to provide me media credentials throughout the year. Just really appreciative of that. Not expecting that when the season started. So, really happy for that and can't wait to get back to the cross next year and with a refreshed team and hopefully a new direction. As for the Boston Bruins, we are mercifully at the end, right? We have one more game to go. They do win today in Pittsburgh, 4-1. So yeah, listen, doesn't really help them in the draft lottery, but nice to see guys like Fabian Lysell getting his first goal, and always good to see wins, I suppose. But you do have New Jersey, I think, is the last game you have coming up. And yeah, they are. Last time I checked, they are top five, top six in the lottery. I mean, they have a kind of a minor shot at the number one overall draft pick. I mean, that's crazy. I did not have that on my bingo card when this season started. Frustrating for sure. And again, like I say, mercifully, this year is coming to an end for the team. I haven't watched every game. I This is the first year I haven't watched every game. I usually watch every single game. This year, just between schedules and my kid's schedule and just how awful the hockey was, I kind of took a step back. It's like I'm not going to watch like the Vegas game at Vegas. I didn't step for that one. A couple of the games last week when I was in Cape May. Actually, the Bruins were in Newark while I was in New Jersey, but I looked at her. I'm like, I don't want to pay that price, and I don't want to drive to Newark from here. I like this hot tub and the scotch in my glass here. So we stayed away, but first time in a long time that I haven't watched every single Boston Bruins game. Going to be a lot to talk about. Going to be a lot to talk about as we get into the off season and into the next fiscal season for the NHL concerning this team. But it will be nice to be able to focus on the playoffs as we get very very close. Starting April 19th, so just 6 days away, we will have NHL playoff hockey. And as you start to look at some of the matchups and just looking at the standings right now, I mean, some of these matchups, guys, you're going to have what looks to be Tampa and Florida in the first round, Carolina, New Jersey, which I think should be pretty interesting. Dallas, Colorado, probably the best first round series um, that you could possibly imagine. And then, of course, LA and Edmonton looking like they're going to get together with LA having home ice. Um, as far as the wild cards go, looking like Montreal should hold on to that last spot. So you will have five, most likely at the Atlantic with Ottawa already locked in. And just good job for Montreal. Just, again, being a Bruins fan, I shouldn't cheer for that, but I love that. Love seeing them have the year they have sneak in. Just absolutely great. Absolutely great. So that is awesome. So love to see that for Montreal. So it looks like right now it would be, let's see, it would be Washington and Montreal in the first round, and Toronto, Ottawa, which would be a whole lot of fun. I think Ottawa might have a legit shot in that series. I mean, that goes way back to some nice bit of rivalries back in the day. And then out west right now, Winnipeg looking like, of course, they have it locked up in the west. They would have St. Louis, and then Minnesota hanging on there would have Vegas. So, some pretty interesting matchups there. At this point, you have Calgary holding on, not eliminated yet, and Columbus in the East, both with, I mean, they both might be eliminated. I think Columbus might be eliminated tonight if they don't win that game in Washington. So we'll see what happens. They're good on Columbus, man. I know everybody's heart was kind of cheering for them to get in, just everything that organization has been through. Um, but they've got a bright future. They've got a very, very bright future ahead of themselves. Tough team, tons of young players, talented, offensive players too. A lot to like. Excuse me, a lot to like there. But you're seeing all the stats coming out like this is the first year in however many years that you know Boston, New York Rangers, and I think that's one other team, not in the playoffs. It's been a minute when you have that kind of group of teams not making it in. um, yeah, crazy, crazy. But I think it's good for the NHL. I think it's good to see a little bit of a mix up. A year where New York and Boston aren't in there, right? Having some turnover, getting teams like Ottawa in, getting teams like St. Louis, who a little bit of a surprise for me this year. I'm wearing St. Louis tonight, mostly just because of the optics of it for Don Sweeney. I would love to see. Um, that bench go on a run there with Monty and Claude Julien on that bench, and Don Sweeney sitting there crying in his popcorn as he watches them go to the playoffs and his team, just sputtering out of control here at the bitter end. Um, yeah, looking at Boston right now, they are in dead last in. Yeah, they're dead last in the East right now, 75 points. Um, Philly is at 76 points. You got to go out west. Of course, you've got Nashville, Chicago, San Jose, all in front of them, and then Seattle with 76 points. So yeah, right now they're fourth. Boston is fourth worst team in the league. And yes, the last month it has just been they've been on golf mode. They've just been thinking about their golf game. Not ending the season the way they want. We'll have again way more to talk about as we get into the off season, talking about potential changes to that front office. No surprise, it's going to be a topic. Should be a topic. There should be change, in my opinion. I think it's time. I think that you've seen enough here, and I don't know if I necessarily trust Don Sweeney with this retool, rebuild, whatever the heck they want to call it. And I'm not wouldn't be shocked if Cam Neely may not be in that role either as president. We will see. Be a lot to talk about. Of course, you'll have a head coaching situation to talk about as well, which we've addressed a little bit on this channel already. And then, of course, when free agency hits, you'll have the draft and then free agency. There'll be all sorts of things to talk about there. So, as for the channel, yeah, we're going to cover the NHL playoffs. I can't say I'm going to cover every single game in detail, but I would like to cover every series a little bit. I'm going to do a preview of each series before we start. My hope is to get some guests on to cover the certain teams that we might be talking about. So got some things cooking there. So we'll do coverage throughout the NHL playoff. I'll certainly keep an eye on the ECHL playoff as well. Just with all the investment we have here with the Maine Mariners, be cool to see what happens over there. Um, and then, of course, we'll get into the draft. We'll have all sorts of coverage there. And then July 1, of course, Christmas in July, I'll be taking that day off and we will have all sorts of coverage around what goes on throughout the NHL there. And as you know, once you get through the first few days of July, things do get a little quiet, but I'll be picking right back up with team previews, probably starting sometime in August. And we'll do 2025, 2026 team previews, which, listen, that's only, 4 months away. It's amazing how quickly it goes. So there'll be plenty of things to talk about as we get into the summer season. But yeah, just been a couple weeks since I've been on here. Want to just give a real brief update as to where I've been the last 2 weeks and what's been going on. And as I said, that the break was much needed for myself, just emotionally, mentally, physically. I just needed to take a little bit of a rest and was happy to do it and happy to be back. Yeah, no hot tub here, but happy to be back. And cannot wait for the NHL playoffs to get started. Should be a heck of a good time, and I just, again, I don't necessarily think it's a wide open, but I do think you have a handful of really exciting teams that could take that Stanley Cup home this season. So will be a lot of fun to watch. So thank you all so much for watching and listening tonight. If you do like what you're hearing on this channel, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button down below. I do appreciate that. And until next time, everybody, be kind, show love, and God bless.